Welcome back to a 78 Camaro video. I am very sorry there was no Courier or Pontiac videos last week, but at 1:30 Sunday morning, some drunk lady decided that she had the right to disrupt everybody's lives, and she sheared the power pole in front of our house, and on Sunday it got really cold in my house. So it took them 16 hours to replace that pole. And I don't know if you knew, but that's not great this time of year. So anyway, we obviously couldn't work on anything. We had no electricity, which means no water, no anything. I mean, no septic, nothing. So, we have to learn on that. And then I brought the tool and popped off the wipers here for Harlan. He had asked me to do that. So no, that windshield's got to come out. I think there's a leak right here. I remember traveling at some point, an issue. So, and then I know he was panicked that the glass delaminated, but not sure I'm overly worried about a piece of glass I was going to throw away. So, there is that. What else are we up to? Nothing on the Anglia. Starting to actually do some mapping and planning on the 57. He's starting to think that through and where we want to go with that. Looks like he's getting pretty close to finished with this truck. Time to send that off to somebody else. Don't know what we're getting done here, but this is, and I've had this for ever and ever and ever, glass for a Camaro. How handy. So we'll get started and I'll let you guys know what we're doing. Decided to go ahead and start with just checking to see if the sticker is held up on the Corvette since we're in here and we're still cleanish. So Harlan's pulling that. See, look at that pretty car. It's a shame it's a Corvette, but it's probably the only Corvette I like. Now let's see if any of this held up. So that's the thing. It wasn't Super 77 and it wasn't Super 90, so you always wonder how well it's going to hold. Here's a big problem in a Corvette, by the way. Everything is fiberglass. So there's nowhere to mount your light. So let's start pulling some stickers and seeing what happens. Oh, that stayed down. And that was boingy before. Uh-oh. Yeah, there's a slight boing right there. So let's leave the stickers. And then in a couple weeks, I will bring the right adhesive. We're going to make this thing permanent. While there's two of us, we're pulling this lower reveal trim. And of course, to do that, you got to pull the windshield wipers, which you would have to pull anyway. Pull the cowl, get all that out. And then, there's a bunch of screws on the trim. But then you've also got these screws right here in such a great spot. Oh, I've been fighting out with this little wrench for... feels like 100 years. Okay. Oh, and he's got a deadly weapon. Well, let's show him we got the trim out. And now apparently I'm going to learn how to use this fancy tool. The spooky, scary part is we got it loose, but there's a long way to go. This is the part that nobody likes doing. And there was a little battle damage, but like I said before, this windshield was toast. And the molding that goes on the top of the headliner looks pretty brittle and pretty rough, so we're going to want to get a piece of that. Yeah, you can see it's all broken, because this is the only time you'll ever be able to get at it, is with the windshield out. So I imagine no one's replaced that in ages. Alright, and then of course we've also got to get a new one of these that holds the fabric from the headliner in, or sail panel there, I guess. So yeah, luckily it's Camaro. All this stuff's available. Okay, and I know I say that all the time. It is time to look at getting all this cleaned up so we can pop the center section in. So we'll get masking off here, masking off there. Blow out the tubes really, really, really well. Brake clean inside. And then we'll put our studs in, our goop, and slide that in there, torque her down. I make it sound a lot easier than it's probably going to be, because that thing's awkward and very heavy. But somewhere over here we have Right here. We have studs. So we're going to have to get those all installed. And we'll go from there. Should be fun. Okay, we got that cleaned up. And we got that guy cleaned up. So the next thing we got to do is those studs. So that should be fun. I had them. I set them down. I got to find them. And we'll see just how hard this is. As soon as we figure it out, we'll show you. Okay, so just like any other stud, just stack some washers and some nuts and spin it in. So, yeah. They go in just like any other. Here, let me put some light on the subject. So, we're going to just keep going. Okay, we're going to try something. See how this works out. I'll set you guys in here. And hopefully you're pointed at this hole right there. So, we just pop that in. We slide on a couple washers. We take our nut, we pop her on there. And then we just put the ratchet on here and go to town, and hopefully you guys can see that going in. I can't see the camera, so I have no idea. But that's the hope. And you can see how nicely that just draws that right in. And it has a little stress to it, but not too bad. It gets worn, oddly enough. But we just keep pulling. And the best part is, I don't even have to have them completely snugged. I just got to have them touching, because when we put the rear center section in, that's going to put the final stretch on these bolts. So see, well, maybe you see, that's now touching up here. It's hard to turn, so I just back this guy off. No different than a lug nut. That's basically just a lug nut. So I'll play with that a little bit. Here, I'll show you. See? Just a lug nut. Like monkeys, it just started pouring. Jeez. Yeah, that'll get your attention. It'd been raining, but now it's pouring. So, still working on the studs. Your wear pattern. Our studs are in. He's bringing it up. These things are heavy and I'm old. So we're going to do a quick test fit. And if we like it, we'll put some gray RTV on there and stick her on. This is actually quite difficult to get located. It's in a very awkward spot and it's hard to hold. So we're going to keep monkeying with it. This is quite difficult. We're not certain all of our studs are exactly straight. And these are very carefully located. And that thing is heavy. So, God, we still got to get it on once. Then figure out how to get it back off without dropping it. And then gasket it and then do it. Yeah, boy, that thing's heavy. We're risking it. We wound up running the sides of a drill bit through all of these to clean the paint out and anything else. And, you know, we got it started and then realized once it's on there, how on earth are we getting that off? Because, wow, is this thing hard to maneuver for an old fat guy. So, we're going to try it. And the worst it can be is when we're cleaning off some RTV. That's as bad as it can get. We don't have a gasket. They recommend using this gear oil gasket maker, so that's what we're doing. Okay, we haven't drawn it in yet, but we do have it on the post. Holy monkeys, that thing's heavy. I know I've said that a dozen times tonight, but that thing's pretty heavy. Yeah, Harlan got whacked pretty good there on that thing. So that was fun. So next thing we're going to do is kind of tap it in place and we'll start tightening up bolts. Going around crisscross, tighten it down. You can see we're starting to get some of the RTV coming out. So that's looking pretty good. Right, she's torqued to 35 foot-pounds all around. And now we're going to check balance. See if we can take that stand off so you can pick it up a little higher so you can kind of start cleaning that up. So we'll take a look here. All right, he's been cleaning up. You know how that is. RTV just gets bloody everywhere. So while it was up, we went ahead and put some PTFE on that. because otherwise we would forget, because that was just loosely in there. And he's got a polished cap to go on the fill, but we're not putting that on yet. And of course we got to do these and the backing plates and the bearings and the brakes and all of that yet. But that turned out to be a much bigger job than we expected. Not sure why. Nothing wanted to line up quite right. So, God, I'm glad we had a lift and we weren't on our back in a parking lot. And we're just sitting over here, kind of taking a peek. Oddly enough, I thought there was going to be a giant rust hole right here, because that's where that leak was. But to be fair, that urethane just kind of crumbled and peeled right up. You know, over here it's still sticky, but this stuff just fell right off. So, you know, maybe it was just done. So, kind of looking at that. Not looking forward to doing these. I hate doing quarter windows. Those suck. The rear came out nice. That front obviously was cracked, but I think it had been hit by a rock here, and I know it had been hit with a rock down there. So, what do you do? Every car comes with a convenient trim storage bin. And real quick, on the 78 Camaro, there's its original rear end. We can come back here. The very next thing we got to learn how to do, because it's been a while, is build up the rest of this rear. Been a little while. I believe we got brakes for it. I know we got axles. They're in a box over there. So we gotta get that all together. Still gotta get those attached. Thought I would hit that today, but I guess not. And when we do the brakes back here, then we'll hang the calipers up here as well. So it'd be nice. We really like to get this to be a roller pretty soon. So yeah, it's late enough that yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here. I'll hand it over to ShopRex. Can't believe how heavy that thing is. God, that's heavy. So anyway, thanks for watching. ShopRex says, drink responsibly.